to start off by saying congratulations on the album. I cannot wait to be able to sit down and take a listen to it, so congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a long time coming. I mean, it sounds ridiculous to say it's been... I think I worked out that it's been 33 years between albums, which is just a little bit of a gap.
Yeah. So what was it actually like sitting down and starting to write songs again for Nothing Sacred?
Well, actually, we've been writing songs all the way through. I mean, so a couple of tracks on the album actually go all the way back to the late 80s, early 90s. They were... We had actually recorded another album at the end of the 80s that never got released. It never got finished. We got all the backing tracks down, nearly. I think we had 2 songs left to track, and then we started on the vocals. And then, just the way bands go, things happened. And there were some lineup problems and stuff, and that album just ended up getting suspended and then dropped eventually. Just faded away, and no one wanted to go back and finish it. So we wanted to, resuscitate at least a couple of tracks from that session, because they were great songs back then, and I think they're still good songs. So we dragged a couple of them out, and everybody's been writing all the way through the years, but really we sat down probably 4 years ago and decided it was time to pull it all together and write some more tracks, finish it all off and get it done. It was good. It was good to really get serious and start writing, and in actual fact, the initial sessions, it went really fast. We wrote probably 4 or 5 tracks in just a couple of weeks.
Awesome.
So we ended up, I think we had something like about 15 or 16 tracks that we did some demos of and partial tracking, and we were experimenting with which ones to use and which ones not to use and all that stuff. And in the end, we cut it down to 10 and just went with the 10 that we liked the most.
Yeah. Those 2 tracks that you were talking about, Final Crime and Oracle, what was it like going back and working through them after like 30 years? That must have been a bit of a surreal feeling, actually going back and revisiting those tracks as well.
Yeah, it has, but then we haven't, obviously we haven't been continuously playing for that entire time, but we've always had little moments where we sort of got back together and various lineups, various numbers of people and whatever, and we've done a few things, and they were often the tracks that we would end up just sort of working through. So we sort of revisited them off and on over the years. But yeah, when we sort of seriously started playing again, about 2012, when we started putting together, a reasonable number of gigs. I mean, those were 2 tracks that we instantly wanted to put back on the list anyway, especially live, because they've both got a lot of energy. So they make for really good live tracks.
Yeah.
But it seemed pretty easy when it came time to record. They seemed like a pretty easy choice, really.
Yeah. And what kind of things were inspiring the new tracks when you sat down to work on those? Was it just life itself? Was it the crazy world that we find ourselves in these days?
It certainly is crazy. I don't know. I mean, from a musical point of view, I mean, we've always kind of written songs just however we write them. There's no real solid, guaranteed process. Sometimes somebody brings a complete song. Other times people just throw a riff in, and then we merge that with something else. We wedge 2 songs together or something, 2 song ideas. And sometimes we just jam and see what comes out. So we sort of did some of these in each of those different ways. There's a couple of tracks where pretty much, George went away, the guitarist, and he wrote, probably 80% of a song, and he brought it along, and then maybe we just tweaked it, added a few small bits or something, but pretty much it was as George brought it. And then Shan's written a fair few, he had a hand in quite a few of the songs, and he was more of that, he's more of a Tetris puzzle with Sham. You take a whole pile of riffs and you just kind of slot them around and move them until they fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's some of that, his riffs and other riffs, George riff, my riffs, whatever. So we sort of did that, and like I said, it came together pretty quick. So we were pretty happy with it, and inspiration, I don't know, just whatever, we just played with it. And played whatever we felt like, really.
Well, it was 33 years between drinks for you guys for album-wise, but then when you started to decide to get serious with this album, we went into a pandemic. Did that affect the way that you guys had to record the album, or did that hold things up at all?
Yeah, well, for us it ended up being a double whammy, only because, we sort of started probably about, I'm not quite sure of the dates, but probably around 2017 we decided to get serious about getting this album sorted and get it done. And we expected probably to be finished by the middle of 2017, and I think at the time we were even toying with the idea of whether it would be an EP or 2 EPs or an album, or, just where will we get to, we're not sure, but it'll be something, definitely something in 2017. But then we ran into the usual problem that so many bands have. We hit lineup changes for various reasons. And that just sort of cost us 2017 and 2018, really. Every time we got a bit of momentum, something would happen to slow the momentum again.
Yep.
So we headed into 2019 feeling, 2019, 2020, feeling that this is now we've got a clear run.
Yeah.
We ran headlong into a pandemic. So that actually caused us to change the whole approach. We were going to go into a studio and do it sort of very old school, the way we did the original EP back in the early 80s. So, everybody into the studio, record everything, everyone playing at the same time, lay down the basics like that, and then just do any touch-ups that you might need. But yeah, essentially playing almost live in the studio.
Yep. Okay.
The pandemic sort of killed that idea.
Yeah.
Not being able to travel. So we ended up doing it the opposite. We went back to the way we'd been doing the pre-production stuff. Everybody basically recording at home and exchanging files over the internet. So, it's not a bad way to work, but it's not the way we'd originally planned to do it. But still, in the end, it's come out pretty good. So we're not unhappy with the results, of course.
Yeah.
That was a big influence of the pandemic. We were going to do it almost semi-live, and we had to end up doing it, totally isolated.
Yeah, it's very heavy metal when you think about it. A band makes a comeback after 33 years for an album, and you get hit by pestilence and and a huge pandemic. It's very heavy metal, really.
Yeah, the Four Horsemen.
Yeah. The lineup changes that you mentioned there with James and Stu coming in. Tell us a little bit about James and Stu and why you felt that they were the right guys for the band as well.
Yeah, well, look, everybody that we've ever played with has always worked out pretty well, and we've really enjoyed things. But there's just, there are reasons why things happen sometimes, and don't want to necessarily get too much into everything that's going on in the background. But
yeah.
None of it was terribly bad. There's no terribly bad things happening or anything. But we'd reached the point where we were just in a bit of a lull, and we went to see Scott Ian when he did his spoken word tour a couple of years back, whenever it was, 2 or 3 years ago now. And we just went along for a good night out, and this guy tells some funny stories, and everybody loves Anthrax, so it was good. And we ran into Stu, and I hadn't seen him for 15 years or something, I suppose. We used to play with his band Captain Trips back in the late 80s and stuff, but we hadn't really been in contact for a long time. And we ran into him on the evening. We all just started talking, and he was, Stu's hardly changed.
Yeah.
He's the same guy he was then. He even looks the same, the bastard. He's the only member of the band that's still got hair.
Yeah.
So, he just really fitted in. We were talking to him, and then we said, we should just get together and have a jam and run through some things. And as soon as we started playing with him, it just had a great feel. And he's got so much energy, and he hadn't been doing a lot. He'd been amazing playing at home, playing by himself and writing his own material and stuff like that, but not really doing much in recent years. So he was keen to get back into it too. So, that worked out really well. And then we had to find a singer, and we went through a process of looking around, and we were auditioning people, and we did a process of sending out backing tapes to people and asking them to record, give it your best shot. And we didn't actually ask them to record something we'd written. We asked them to write something because we wanted to really hear what they might bring.
Yep.
So, I know that's a pretty big ask. I mean, we're asking a lot of people to tell them to go away and write a song, or at least a verse or a chorus or whatever.
Yep.
But we just said, look, here's a backing track. Give us whatever you feel comfortable with. And we went through that process, and there were some good guys there and some probably not so good. And at the end of it, we just came across James, and he's very different to the previous singer Chris, in that he's more of a rock background. He loves metal. He's a huge Led Zeppelin fan and whatever. But his style is more to sing in a rock style, and we just felt that might actually sit better with us.
Yep.
For whatever reason. It's hard to define bands and know what you're supposed to sound like, but we just somehow felt that maybe that would sit better with where we were, how we were writing and what we sound like. So we tried him out, and we've been more than happy. He's great. Love his tone, love his commitment, and he's a great guy as well.
Definitely. Now, the other big news for you guys is that you've signed with Rue Morgue Records. Tell us a little bit about what made you decide that Rue Morgue was the label for you, because I'm guessing there were a few labels that were trying to get your signature.
Well, it's a bit of a drama. There's a bit of a story about all that, but, various things. In the end, through a contact with Sham has been playing drums and working with another band, Greystone Canyon, a great studio band. He's been working with them and doing some video clip work, and now he's drumming for them on their second album and stuff. And through them, we got in contact, he got in contact with their Italian label, and they've taken over the European distribution, but they don't have any Australian distribution. So we'd already done a single with John last year and Rue Morgue.
Yep.
So it was a pretty easy step to just keep that relationship going. It was already there, and we're happy with John. I think he's been happy with us, so it seemed pretty easy to just take it to the next level and go beyond the original 7-inch vinyl that we did, and then do the album through him. So that's worked out so really well at the moment. It's been great.
Awesome. Well, No Gods comes out on July 16th, but what are the plans for after that? Like, we're hoping that there's no more lockdowns and that we're wide open. So what will you guys be looking at doing after No Gods is released?
Well, that's the main thing. We've been talking about exactly what we're going to do. I mean, obviously we want to, not so much need, maybe we do need, but we want to play some gigs and stuff. We ended up last year, we played at the start of the year in Adelaide, and went over there for that Churches of Steel festival, which went really well. And we thought that would probably kickstart a round of local gigs through 2020, but obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So now we need to sort of get back on that bike and sort of figure out how we're going to do it. So we've had a couple of approaches from people at the moment. We've sort of let them go only because we don't feel quite that we're ready. We just need to shake out the cobwebs and make sure that when we get around to doing it, we don't embarrass ourselves.
Yeah.
Which we've always been a pretty good live band, so feel pretty confident about playing and all that's not really an issue. But we do need to just get the cobwebs out and get ourselves going. So we've got nothing concrete lined up, but we hope to, in the second half of the year, put together some gigs and stuff and just see what flows from that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, mate, as usual, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. But to finish up, what would you like to say to people out there before they go out and take a listen to No Gods on July 16th?
Well, I mean, be prepared to give it a good listen. I mean, it covers a lot of ground. There's a lot of different tracks on there. I think we've got we like the coverage of the different feels of the songs and stuff. It's not a one-dimensional album by any means. And look, we're really happy with what we're doing at the moment. Especially working with John, we're going to have a great. Sham's designed a terrific T-shirt design that's going to come out in conjunction with the album as well. So we're going to start pushing that probably in about 4 weeks' time. So if anybody wants to get on and support us with that, that'll be great. And then hopefully July 16, everybody will be enjoying what they hear.
Awesome. Well, mate, it has been an absolute honour chatting to you. Pleasure chatting to you, and cannot wait to see you guys do some live shows as well.
Yeah, we can't wait to play.